everybody. We are back live here at the birdhouse. It is already the end of July somehow, so we do have an update here about some of the different birds and insects people are seeing in the backyard, as well as some of the events we have going on here at the store. As always, if you're online, you can say hi. You can put your questions in the comments and absolutely let us know what kind of things you're seeing in your backyard or while you're out and about. We do have some different things going on here at the store this week. The first being telescope night. We are having another telescope night this Thursday, July 31st. That's going to be at Whitehaven Park, and that goes from 7 until 10 p.m. So you can show up at any time between those hours. A lot of people will bring lawn chairs and just kind of hang out, and we'll be looking at the stars and constellations through telescopes. If you have a telescope, absolutely bring it, set it up. Usually we have a pretty good spread of telescopes out there, so it's going to be a nice night. So that is this Thursday, July 31st. Also coming up this weekend on Saturday, we do have a plant sale going on, and that plant sale starts around 10 in the morning. Sometimes it's a little bit earlier. That's with Michael Hannon. He'll be setting up all kinds of different plants here at the store. He's here about once a month in the summer, and he will be here this Saturday. Also, next Tuesday, we do have our August cruise on the Rivery boat. We do have 6 spots left. So we expect it to sell out. If you are interested, there are still 6 spots left. I wouldn't wait on it because we will be putting out an email and putting some stuff out on the socials if they don't get purchased today. So you do still have time to get a seat on the boat. That's the one for next Tuesday, August 5th, on the Rivery boat. The last cruise was pretty cool. We started seeing some of the birds that were migrating through for the late summer, like great egret, which was really neat. There's been osprey that's been out there. So we're expecting a pretty good cruise. That's next Tuesday, August 5th, and there are still some spots left for our September cruise, which is an afternoon cruise. So we've got that going on too. Last week, we had an owl prowl. We hosted our very first owl prowl, and we had that at Whitehaven Park, and a lot of you guys showed up. We had 140 plus people show up, so it was a huge crowd. We did a presentation about the 3 types of owls you're most likely to see in the area, and we did get to hear some. So the owls we were looking for were barred owl, great horned owl, and the eastern screech owl. So we gave a really quick presentation about those birds, and then we went out to look and listen for them. And we did hear the eastern screech owl. At least 2 of them were calling, and we did see something small and gray fly from one side of the trail to the other, and we're pretty confident that that was an eastern screech owl. So that was a lot of fun. So we will be planning more owl prowls. It was such a huge success. We'll be planning some more, but we will be limiting the group size to give everybody a better chance to see and hear the owls. That being said, we definitely did hear the screech owls calling at Whitehaven Park last week, so that was really fun. There's monarch butterflies out there. I have been seeing them in my garden, and I know some of you have too. So now is definitely time to look at your plants, look for those eggs and the signs of monarch butterflies, even if you don't see them flying around. Your best bet to find a monarch egg is to look on the underside of the leaves of milkweed. Also out there are going to be the monarch caterpillars. Once they hatch out of that egg, they're really, really small, but then as they grow, you can really see the stripes on their bodies. So there's definitely monarch caterpillars that are out there on the milkweed plants. And then they will form their chrysalis, which looks like this, and then out will hatch the monarch butterfly. Another type of caterpillar to look for on the milkweed is going to be what's called the milkweed tussock moth caterpillar, and that's actually what my background is too. But the milkweed tussock moth caterpillars, they will be in groups. So, well, most likely, most of the time you see them in groups. Those moths will lay their eggs not one at a time like the monarch does, but in groups. And so those eggs will all hatch, and you're often going to find multiple milkweed tussock moth caterpillars on a milkweed plant at a time. And this is what they look like. They're small, they're fuzzy, they are bright orange and black and white. And you can definitely see those out there now too. So the plants to look at if you are trying to find the monarch butterfly eggs or the caterpillars or those milkweed tussock moth caterpillars, it's going to be common milkweed is the one you're most likely to find those eggs on. They seem to like to lay their eggs on these if they do have the choice. The leaves are nice and big, so it gives the caterpillars lots and lots of food to eat. But also look for those eggs or the butterflies nectaring on things like orange milkweed and swamp milkweed, which are both in bloom right now. And Lynn sent in some photos of a monarch butterfly. I'm not sure if it was in her garden or not. I'm guessing it is, on some swamp milkweed. So you can see there's some monarch butterfly activity that Lynn has been seeing out there too. As far as birds go, there's lots of baby birds out there, but then there's some birds that are still in that nesting process. Birds like goldfinches that nest really late in the season. They'll nest in July and August. They build a really, really fluffy cup nest, so they don't come to houses or anything like that. They'll do their own thing, but you can put out a nesting ball, a ball full of this all-natural cotton nesting material in order to entice them to nest nearby. So don't be surprised if you have these nesting balls out in your yard, if you start to see the goldfinches with big bills full of that nesting material. You can always attract goldfinches all year round, though, with Niger seed and a Niger seed feeder. This is a really popular one that we carry. It's a spiral finch feeder. And our finch favorite mix really lives up to its name. They love the mix of the Niger seed and the ground up sunflower seed. So you can buy those anytime here in store or online on our website. Hummingbirds are still around. Hummingbirds and the hummingbird moths. I should have included a picture of that because I know a lot of you guys are seeing a hummingbird clear wing moths, which look similar to the hummingbirds. The hummingbirds, like I've mentioned before, they seem pretty sparse this year. So there's not as much activity in general as years past, but people are still getting them. And as the season goes on, as we get into August more, you might start to see them more often as they start to drink more nectar, starting to refuel for starting to fuel up for their migration down south, which they're going to be preparing for already, believe it or not. Same with the Baltimore Orioles. You might be seeing the adults or the juveniles coming to your jelly feeders, your mealworms. And they'll be here for a little bit longer as well. They're usually reported pretty reliably through August. And then they'll start to fizzle out as they unfortunately go back down south for the winter. They start making that trek later on this month. So for a little while, you can still enjoy them in your yards, but they will be making their way down south too. Lots of juvenile birds out there, things like juvenile cardinal, which you can identify because they have that dark grayish colored bill. The females will have an orange bill, so that's one way to differentiate the females from the juveniles. We're getting reports of the tufted titmice, the young tufted titmice out there. The young chickadees and wrens have been nesting throughout the season, and their babies are emerging and coming out. And I've mentioned in the past, it's been pretty hot out there, and there are different ways to provide water. Of course, bird baths are great. We also have these hanging water feeders, which are a nice way to provide water if you don't necessarily have the space for a bird bath, or if you want to, if you have an open arm on your shepherd's hook, these will hang, so you can hang them from anything. Super simple, easy to fill, and that water will filter down into this little water dish in order to provide it for the birds. We also still have the solar fountain inserts, which are really great. The birds love the moving water that these will produce. They're all self-contained. There's a solar panel on the top. Once the sun is hitting that solar panel, it will power a fountain, which will recirculate this water. You can make it either a fountain like this picture shows or a bubbler. So there's different options there, but we have those in stock. and the water wigglers, which are a little propeller, which will keep the water in motion. And not only does that attract birds, the ripples of the water, that visual will attract birds, but it also keeps mosquitoes away because that moving water makes it so the mosquitoes can't lay their eggs in the bird bath. We also have the bird bath brushes back in stock. We have the enzymes you can put in your bird bath to help keep it clean. And we also have this, which is a copper purification disc. This is a newer item for us. It's a 3 or 4 inch round copper disc, and copper will naturally purify water, and you can just put this in your bird bath, and this will help keep your bird bath clean. So this is a new thing, and we've had great response from it. So I thought I would mention that as well. And so many birds like water. The hummingbirds like the moving water, and of course you've got those larger birds like the cardinals and things like the brown thrasher that'll just kind of perch in that bird bath, and they will flutter around to drink and to clean their feathers. So definitely want to make sure that you are providing the birds with water also, as the weather is pretty hot out there. Let's see, it looks like Lynn is on. She says, good morning. Can you recommend a good plant identification app? Thanks. Yeah, so now even most cell phones, you can look up the photos that you take just on your phone with like a Google Lens, or Google will identify them for you. If not, I have one that I use that works really well called Picture This. So it's spelled Picture, like a picture. Picture This. That one is a really good one. You can get a free trial of it, I believe. There is a paid version for it as well, but that one works really well. You can take a picture of the leaves, of the bark of the tree, or whatever plant you're looking at. It's pretty good at identifying them. It's pretty amazing. So again, that's called Picture This, and that's one that I use that I would recommend. Barry's on, says hi from Brigham, Quebec. Hello, Barry. Thank you for tuning in. You probably have some of these same birds and butterflies up there as well. So it looks like that's everybody's comments and questions for the day. We will be back on Saturday with another broadcast where we'll compile some of your photos you've been sending in, and we'll give you another update on some of the birds and bugs and all that good stuff that people have been seeing in their backyards. Thank you again for tuning in. Check out our events that we have coming up. And we've got more and more that are being announced every week. And we've got some more that we'll announce shortly that are going to be pretty fun. So thank you again for tuning in, and we'll be back on Saturday, and we'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.